Okay, so let's just jump right in. Have you ever wondered how it's possible for someone to make, say, a six-figure salary and still be totally, completely broke? You've seen it, right? I mean, the person with the fancy new car who sweats bullets if they get a surprise $1,000 bill. Or the couple with the amazing house who are just one paycheck away from disaster. It's a huge paradox, and today we're going to pull back the curtain and figure it out. First things first, we have got to get this distinction straight. We're taught to think that being rich and being wealthy are the same thing. They are not even close. See, being rich is flashy. It's about a high income. It's the money you see flowing through someone's hands to buy the nice car, the big watch. But being wealthy, that's something else entirely. It's quiet. It's about independence. It's the money you don't spend that actually buys you freedom. And this right here, this is the core idea of this whole explainer. Real wealth is invisible. It's the car you didn't buy, the first-class upgrade you passed on, the designer clothes you left at the store. Wealth is the pile of assets, the stocks, the bonds, the investments that haven't been turned into shiny objects yet. It's the solid, unseen foundation, not the flashy, fragile front you see on Instagram. So, if the secret is just, don't spend all your money, why is it so incredibly hard? Well, before we can talk about the how-to, we have to understand the software that's running in our own heads. Let's dig into the psychology of why so many of us feel like we're constantly playing catch-up, no matter how much we make. This says it all, doesn't it? You get a promotion, a nice raise, and for a hot second, you feel like you've made it. But then you scroll online and see a friend's incredible vacation photos, or your neighbor remodels their kitchen, and poof, that feeling of enough is just gone. The author Morgan Housel puts it perfectly. Capitalism is great at creating wealth, but it's an absolute master at creating envy. The goalpost for what feels like enough is always moving just out of reach. And yeah, there's a name for this trap: lifestyle inflation. It's basically a financial treadmill. As your income climbs, so does your spending. A nicer apartment, a more expensive car, fancier dinners out. You're running faster and faster, earning more and more, but you're not actually getting any closer to the finish line of freedom. You're just paying for a fancier cage. And this just proves that building wealth has so much less to do with your IQ or your salary, and so much more to do with your behavior. I mean, get this. There's a true story about a guy named Ronald Read. He was a janitor his whole life. A janitor. And when he passed away, he left behind an $8 million fortune. How? Simple. He lived frugally, saved what he could, and just consistently invested in good, boring companies. On the flip side, we all know the stories of the high-flying executive who ends up bankrupt because they spent everything they had trying to look rich. The lesson is crystal clear. It's not what you earn, it's what you keep. Okay, let's switch gears a bit, because now we're going to take on one of the biggest, most sacred pieces of financial advice there is. Come on, we've all heard this a million times, right? That renting is just throwing your money away, that the absolute number one thing you have to do to build wealth is buy a house. But is that actually true? Let's really question that assumption. When you actually sit down and crunch the numbers, a totally different story starts to appear. The biggest hidden factor here is something called opportunity cost. Think about it. Every single dollar that's tied up in your down payment, or that you spend on mortgage interest, property taxes, insurance, and all those surprise repairs, that's a dollar that isn't out there working for you in the stock market. For a lot of people, especially earlier in their careers, it can be way smarter financially to rent a modest place and just aggressively invest the difference. That path can often build way more wealth in the long run. This quote just nails it. You have to start thinking of your main home as a consumption item, kind of like a car. Sure, it gives you a place to live, a certain lifestyle, but it is not an income-producing asset. It does not put money in your pocket, it takes money out of your pocket every single month. The smart move is to buy a home when you want that stability and you can easily afford it without crippling your ability to invest, not because you think it's a magic bullet for getting wealthy. All right, we've busted some myths, we've looked at the psychology, now for the really good stuff. Let's build a simple, powerful system that actually works. And the best part? It requires almost zero willpower. This right here is a money system used by tons of self-made millionaires, and its genius is in its simplicity. It's the 25-50-15-10 rule. Now, look, don't get too hung up on the exact percentages. Think of this as a flexible blueprint, a starting point you can tweak for your own life. This isn't some crazy restrictive budget where you're tracking every cup of coffee. No, this is a proactive plan for telling your money where to go before you ever get a chance to spend it. So let's break it down. Step 1, and this is the absolute most important, non-negotiable part. You pay yourself first. 25% of your income right off the top goes straight to your growth fund. That's your investments, and you have to automate this. Next, 50% covers your essentials, your rent or mortgage, your bills, your food. Then 15% goes to what we'll call stability. This is your emergency fund, your financial safety net. And finally, and this part is crucial, 10% is for guilt-free fun. You have to enjoy the ride or you're just gonna burn out and give up. Okay, so you've automated that 25% into your growth fund. What do you actually do with it? This is the part where a lot of people freeze up or get intimidated, but the truth is, the most reliable path to becoming a millionaire is, well, it's actually pretty boring. If you only remember one single thing about investing, please let it be this. Time in the market is so much more powerful than trying to time the market. Just consistently investing, month in and month out, year after year, through the good times and the bad, that is how real wealth is built. Trying to guess the perfect day to buy or the perfect day to sell, that's a fool's errand. It's a game most of us are guaranteed to lose. So how do you actually do this? It's surprisingly simple. You buy the whole haystack instead of trying to find the one magic needle. What that means is you invest in low-cost, broad market index funds. For example, an S&P 500 index fund instantly makes you a part owner of the 500 biggest companies in the US. The magic here is twofold. You get instant diversification, so if one company goes bust, you're fine, and the fees are incredibly low, which means more of your money stays working for you. You're basically placing a long-term bet on the entire economy to grow. It is the ultimate set it and forget it strategy. And if you're wondering why this boring strategy is so amazing, well, look at this. This is the magic of compound interest. If you invest just $500 a month and get a pretty average historical return of about 8%, after 30 years, you'd have over $700,000. And the crazy part? The huge majority of that money isn't what you put in. It's just growth on top of your growth. That is the invisible engine of wealth chugging along for you 24/7 while you sleep. So, we've talked about the psychology, the myths, and the systems. But there's one last secret to all of this, and it has nothing to do with spreadsheets or stock tickers. It's about knowing where your personal finish line is. Because here's what it all boils down to. The real goal isn't just to pile up as much money as possible. The real prize is owning your own time. It's freedom. It's autonomy. It is the ability to wake up on a random Wednesday morning and have the power to say, I can do whatever I want today, without having to ask a boss or worry about a bill. That right there, that is what real wealth is. So I'll just leave you with this one question to chew on. Forget about the Lamborghinis and the mansions for a second. What does real freedom actually look like for you? If you had complete control of your time, what would you do with it? Answering that question honestly, That's the real first step to building a life that isn't just rich, but is truly deeply wealthy.